Hi, I'm Maddy Cauthen from Maddy Cauthen and The Monarchs, and I'm here with the Midwest Mixtape Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox here, and I'm joined with Maddy Cauthen of Maddy and The Monarchs. Maddy, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing really good. Excited to be talking with you today and excited for this weekend, October 11th at Lake Wappapello, Missouri, the camp at Lake Wappapello, and you are opening for Mr. Joe Nichols.
Yes, I am.
That's pretty exciting, I imagine.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I think you've played the camp before, right?
Yes, I have.
It's one of my favorite venues to go to. And we actually even talked to Joe this past week, and he hadn't been there before. He's really excited about it, and I think it's going to be an awesome show. And obviously, this is presented by Golden Eagle Entertainment, so shout out Dylan because he's the one that connected us together. So again, excited to have you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
Maddy, talk us through your musical journey because your story is so interesting. You started at such a young age, and I know now that you're playing out and in front of these large audiences, but starting when you were even early in your teens, your musical journey kind of started then, right?
Yes. So I started playing out around 14, doing like random little shows. And then 16, I got really serious about it. And I had a gig, multiple gigs a month. And I've kept on with that. And about a year ago, I had my first opening gig at the camp. And I opened for Chris Cagle with Golden Eagle Entertainment. Um, and since then, I've had quite a few opening shows and I've had a few big shows. And I started playing guitar at like 12. And it's crazy just to think about how fast everything has happened. Now I'm 19 and I've been doing this like these big shows for about a year and it's really awesome.
We talked to a lot of different artists at a lot of different stages of their career, and you talk about the headliner and what the role of the headliner is, but the role of the opening act.
Well, the opening act's role is to get the crowd ready for the headliner. That's my whole job. I try to get everybody hyped for Joe Nichols. Like, that's my job. And I'm so happy to do it. And I love being able to do that.
And you play a lot of different places, bars being one of them, right?
Yes.
That can sometimes be a crowd that's either a little restless or, sometimes a lot of fun. But do you
Yeah.
think that prepares you for situations like this where you're playing at a concert venue?
Yes, it definitely does. I've had all of the experiences at bars. I've had every single one that you could even imagine. And all the good ones and the bad ones, like they get you ready for anything that these big shows will throw at you. Like I've had a couple opening shows where the audience wasn't very receptive to what I was doing. So it was really just about like changing what I was doing, trying out new things, which I did at those bar shows, which helped me there. So they really do get you ready for getting in front of thousands of people.
Is some of that a little bit of like a vibe check or reading the room or kind of seeing what your audience is and maybe even pulling from your catalog of maybe cover songs or whatever it might be to sort of fit the needs of the audience because sometimes that can be so much of it.
Yeah, a lot of what I do is covers and my own musical taste is completely different than theirs sometimes. So I have to pick songs like way out of my comfort range or way out of songs that I would even think about singing just to, make sure that the audience is still like ready and hyped and excited.
I think I see the Foo Fighters behind you.
Yes.
Important enough to put up on the wall. I imagine they're a special band to you.
Oh, yes. I've loved the Foo Fighters for a long time.
What other kind of influences do you pull from? What do you think kind of goes into your sound other than your own style?
Um, a lot of Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. I love
Ooh,
I love her.
I think it's just off camera, but I have a Stevie Nicks picture right there. Huge influential figure to me.
Same, same. I saw her live about a year ago, and that was the best experience I've ever had in my life. But I would say Queen. I have Queen up there too. Um, a lot of Paramore. I have a lot. I Mine are all over the place, and I love music, and I grew up in a house that loved music. So a lot of my influences come from whatever my parents listened to whenever I was like 3 years old in the car. Like the first song I remember loving was No One by Alicia Keys. So it really comes from everywhere. But Stevie Nicks is my main girl. I love her so much.
Hey, same here, same here. Are you a Swiftie at all?
Kind of. Kind of. I'm not die hard, but I do love some of her stuff. I can't lie.
Yeah, so I'm a girl dad. I have three daughters, so it's like all Taylor Swift in my house. And
Yeah.
I have come to really appreciate her talent, her songwriting. I think she's such a mega icon that I think a lot of things get overlooked.
Yeah.
And her talent being one of them, and specifically her songwriting. So we're
Yeah.
Swifties over here.
Yes, I love that.
In your bio, it says you were quickly recognized as the little girl with the powerhouse voice. So you said you started playing guitar at an early age, early teens. When did you find your own voice? Because that can sometimes maybe change over the years or with experience, or you get a little bit better at it. But when would you say you found your singing voice?
I had always sang ever since I learned how to talk. I was singing. But I feel like I really found my love for it at about 9 or 10. I was in love with musical theater, and I did a lot of local theater. So I would perform a lot. And I realized I really just love singing though. Like acting is fine, but singing is what I'm in love with. And so I started out with all of those musical theater songs that are way harder than I could have even imagined. Like I started off hard, and then I think learning how to sing hard songs at 10 really helped build me to where I am now. I can technically, with my voice, I feel like I'm way far beyond what I've ever been. And I think that's because whenever I found it, whenever I was 10, I was like, let's do the hardest thing possible.
You talk about doing a lot of cover songs, but you obviously have your own originals as well. Talk us through that process of song creation because you're pulling something out of the ether. Maybe it comes from a single thought or a single lyric that you might have or an idea, and then you create it and then it becomes something. And then also, I'm always interested to see like when you see the response of others, something that you created and you see that it's received well.
Yeah. So whenever I write, I usually start with my guitar. That's usually the first thing that I reach for. I make a chord progression, and then usually it comes from emotions. I'm a really emotional person and I feel a lot. And I am grateful for that because it makes me able to write music because that's really what I write it all about is my emotional state or what makes me feel the way I do. I remember writing my first song. I was like, I was 12 whenever I started my guitar lessons, and I was sitting in my this room. I was sitting in this room with my little classical guitar that was really bad. And I remember feeling so deeply about a friend that I was like, gosh, I know you're hurting, but I want you to be better. And so I wrote it into a song, and I remember playing it for my parents for the first time, and they were like crying. And I was like, this is crazy that I'm able to create something that invokes that much emotion in somebody. Like it's so incredible to me that my emotions can be portrayed in that way and make others feel so much that might not even be the same thing that I was feeling, but they feel it. And it's incredible the way that emotions can be portrayed.
Couple different ways of to songwrite, I guess. Is one autobiographical, which we're talking about Taylor Swift. It's a lot of that, right? You can be a storyteller, And then you can kind of like what you're describing, I think, pick up from others or feed off others' energy and sort of tell their story for them. Do you kind of pull from each one of those?
I feel like I lean more towards the second one, but I do definitely do both. In my, I haven't released anything yet. I'm working on that, but in a lot of my songs, I try to do a little bit of the storytelling while also, like you said, vibe checking other people, you know? I feel like I do both, definitely.
Is there a litmus test of like, I think this might be good? Do you run it by your parents or do you play it out and see the response or do you run it by your band members? Like, what is the check that you do to say, okay, I think this might be something?
Yeah, I usually play the chord progression for my band, and they're usually the ones to be like, ooh, I don't know about that, or okay, I can do something with that. And then I'll put words to it, and then I'll play it, and then my parents will be like, oh my gosh, that's incredible, or I don't know about that one. So yeah, I definitely show other people what I do before I decide if it's something or not.
Is there some vulnerability to that? Because you might be saying some things, maybe they are personal lyrics or whatever it might be. It's something you created, so we can always have an emotional attachment to it. So I would imagine showing that out, it's a little vulnerability.
Oh, it's so scary. I remember the first time I did it, I was like shaking and it was so terrifying because being vulnerable like that is so hard. You know, letting your entire being out there for everyone to judge it is so hard. And that's why I like to start small with people that I trust and people that I know will give me good advice or constructive criticism. And from there, if the people that I trust most think that, okay, this is good, then I can take whatever criticism anybody else says.
Yeah, I would say, especially now, I don't know, you said you haven't released anything, but even sharing things on social media, it can be not nice sometimes. It's a not nice world out there. And I don't know the reasons for that. That's a whole nother conversation for another
Yeah.
time. But, you can get feedback that might not have the best intentions behind it. And like you said, constructive. Sometimes it's just mean. And I don't know where I'm going with that. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit about some of the comments we get, but I always heard that you can't believe the good comment. You can't fully believe the good comments if you're going to believe the bad ones. So somewhere in between maybe lies the truth.
Right, right. I feel like you also have to have a really strong sense of yourself. And that is something that I've had to grow in. Whenever I started, I was very insecure in my art and I was very scared of it. And now I feel like I can show people just about anything that I do and I'll be okay because it's something that I'm proud of and something that I did. And I'm also a perfectionist, so I work really hard to get things right the first time so I'm not like sitting there like, "Oh, stop. That's really bad." Because I like to do things right.
You mentioned the band. Let's talk about the Monarchs
Yeah.
and the dynamic and the chemistry between you and Eric and AJ and Cyrus, and talk about your band.
So my band started about a year ago with for the Chris Cagle gig. I met Eric a long time ago. I had put a video on Facebook up. It was a cover of Black by Pearl Jam. And he works with my mom, and he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that she could do that. And so from there, I stood in for a band for a singer role, and he was the drummer of that band. And from there, our relationship kind of grew. And before I even had an idea of a band, he was playing the cajon on acoustic sets with me. And so me and Eric have really known each other since I've started. And with AJ, he is one of the best guitarists I've ever met. He's super funny, super nice, but he he started the band about 6 months ago and he's already grown so much. Like everything that he's done, he's so ready to be like, okay, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do this. And Cyrus, he's my boyfriend. We met in high school and the bassist that we had before left the band. And this was right before we had like some big shows. So I was really worried that we weren't going to have a bassist. And Cyrus had learned the bass in 2 weeks and started doing gigs after 2 weeks of picking up the instrument without ever doing anything with it before, which is absolutely incredible. Cyrus also does some side work, but we all as a band were pretty new. Like a year is not a long time, but us as a band, I feel like we're very close and tight knit, and we can get all of these opening shows, and we can do a lot because we work really hard together, and we can work together because I know some bands can. Like they're just there to do a gig, but it feels like a family because we all trust each other enough to do what needs to be done in songwriting, in showmanship and everything.
Being local to the Poplar Bluff area, what is the scene like there?
There's a lot of bars that are great with live music. I feel like the live music scene has grown exponentially since when I started. And I started like 3 years ago, and it's already grown so much. I've been able to see a lot more local artists come up and start doing gigs. Um, Poplar Bluff really loves the live music. People always show up. There's hardly ever a bar that's empty if there's live music there. Everyone loves it. And I love it. I love to see people whenever I'm not working. Like I love to see people, and I love it whenever people see me. So,
Well, we are in the Farmington area. I'm sure you know where that's at.
yes.
And there's a pretty good thriving scene here as well. If you ever get into town, we also are very connected to the St. Gen area, St. Genevieve area. So if you'd ever want to venture out there, there's a ton of venues to play, and I'm sure that they'd be happy to have you.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off air though.
Yeah.
This week we got our hands full. This weekend we are opening up for Joe Nichols October 11th at Lake Wappapello, the camp at Lake Wappapello, and the tickets are on sale now. If somebody has never heard you or seen you live, what can they expect at this weekend?
They can expect a lot of power, a lot of fun. Um, Literally just literally anything and everything. Expect everything because you're going to get everything.
Lastly, Maddy, what kind of goals and aspirations do you have, in the music industry or in the music business?
I want to do everything. And I'm very ambitious, and I know that I have big dreams and I always have, but I think that I'll be able to do them. I'm very confident in myself. I want to write beautiful music and give everyone every part of me and hopefully get people that like it, I want to be Taylor Swift, but like rock version, I guess.
Don't we all? I think we all
Yeah.
feel that way.
Yeah.
Maddy Cauthen of Maddy and The Monarchs on the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, which is like the most M's you can have in one sentence. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be catching you October 11th at the camp at Lake Wappapello with Joe Nichols, and the tickets are on sale now. And we want to shout out again Dylan of Golden Eagle Entertainment. Maddy, thanks so much, and we'll catch you this weekend.
Thank you.